Welcome to this presentation. You are watching VLSI Design Lecture Series, and today we are going to focus about pulse registers and sense amplifier circuits. Until now, we have used the master-slave configuration to create an edge-triggered register. So a fundamentally different approach for constructing a register uses pulse signals. The idea is to construct a short pulse around the rising or falling edge of the clock, and this pulse acts as the clock input to latch. And you can see in this diagram, right? Okay, it shows that the sampling the input only in a short window. So race conditions are thus avoided by keeping the opening time, that is the transparent period of the latch, very short. The combination of the glitch generation circuitry and the latch results in a positive edge triggered register. So the second diagram shows an example circuit for constructing a short intentional glitch on each rising edge of the clock. When clock is equal to 0, node X is charged to VDD, where Mn is off since clock G is slow. On the rising edge of the clock, there is a short period of time when both inputs of the AND gate are high, causing clock G to go high. This in turn activates Mn, pulling X and eventually clock G low. And the length of the pulse is controlled by the delay of the AND gate and the two inverters. And you can note that there exists also a delay between the rising edges of the input clock, that is clock, and glitch clock, that is clock G, which is also equal to the delay of the AND gate and the two inverters. If every register on the chip uses the same clock generation mechanism, this sampling delay doesn't matter. However, process variations and load variations may cause the delay through the glitch clock circuitry to be different. And this must be taken into account when performing timing verification and clock skew analysis. If the setup time and hold time are measured in reference to the rising edge of the glitch clock, the setup time is essentially 0 and the hold time is essentially equal to the length of the pulse. And the propagation delay, that is TCQ, equals the two gate delays. The advantage of this approach is the reduced clock load and the small number of transistors required. The glitch generation circuitry can be amortized over multiple register bits. The disadvantage is a substantial increase in verification complexity, and for this circuit to function properly, simulations must be performed across all corners to ensure that the clock pulse always exists, that the glitch generation circuit works reliably. Despite the increased complexity, such registers do provide an alternate approach to conventional schemes, and they have been adopted in a number of high performance processors. Another version of the pulse register is shown and is used in the AMD K6 processor. When the clock is low, M3 and M6 are off and the device P1 is turned on. And the node X is pre-charged to VDD and the output node Q is decoupled from X and is held at the previous state. Clock D bar is the delay inverted version of the clock. On the rising edge of the clock, M3 and M6 turn on while devices M1 and M4 stay on for a short period determined by the delay of the three inverters. During this interval, the circuit is transparent and the input data D is sampled by the latch. Once clock D goes low, node X is decoupled from the D input and is either held or starts to pre-charge to VDD through PMOS device P2. On the falling edge of the clock, the node X is held at VDD and the output is held stable by the cross-coupled inverters. You can notice that the circuit also uses pulse generator, but it is integrated into the register. The transparency and period and also determines the hold time of the register. The window must be wide enough for the input data to propagate the Q output. In this particular circuit, the setup time can be negative. This is the case if the transparency window is longer than the delay from the input to output. And this is attractive as data can arrive at the register even after the clock goes high, which means that the time is borrowed from the previous cycle. The glitch register is transparent during 1-1 overlap of the clock and clock D bar. As a result, the input data can actually change after the rising edge of the clock, resulting in a negative setup time. So the D input transitions to low after the rising edge of the clock and transitions to high before the falling edge of clock D bar during the transparency period. And you can observe that how the output follows the input. The output Q does go to the correct value of VDD as long as the input D is set up correctly sometime before the falling edge of the clock D bar. When the negative setup time is exploited, there can be no guarantees on the monotonic behavior of the output. That is, the output can have multiple transitions around the rising edge. Therefore, the output of that register should not be used for driving dynamic logic or as a clock to other register. And now let us focus on the sense amplifier circuits based registers. So in addition to the master slave and the glitch approaches to implement the edge triggered registers, a third technique based on the sense amplifiers can be used. And sense amplifier circuits accept small input signals and amplify them to generate rail-to-rail swings. They are used extensively in memory cores and in low swing bus drivers to either improve performance or reduce participation. There are many techniques to construct these amplifiers. A common approach is to use feedback, for instance, through a set of cross-coupled inverters. Now let us see the circuit diagram. So what you see here is the positive edge triggered register based on sense amplifier. So this diagram uses pre-charged front-end amplifier that samples the differential input signal on the rising edge of the clock signal. The outputs of the front end are fed into a NAND cross-coupled SR flip-flop that holds the data and guarantees that the differential outputs switch only once per clock cycle. The differential inputs in this implementation don't have to have rail-to-rail swing. The core of the front end consists of a cross-coupled inverters M5 to M8 whose outputs, that is L1 and L2, are pre-charged by using devices M9 and M10 during the low phase of the clock. So as a result, the PMOS transistor M7 and M8 are now turned off and the NAND flip-flop is holding its previous state. Transistors M1 is similar to an evaluate switch in dynamic circuits and is turned off to ensure that the differential output do not affect the output during the low phase of the clock. On the rising edge of the clock, the evaluate transistor turns on and the differential pair, that is M2 to M3 is enabled, and the difference between these input signals is now amplified on the output nodes on L1 and L2. The cross-coupled inverter pair flips into one of the stable states based on the values of the inputs. For example, if in is 1, L1 is pulled to 0 and L2 remains at VDD. Due to the amplifying properties of the input stage, it is not necessary for the input to swing all the way up to VDD, which enables the use of low swing signaling on the input wires. The shorting transistors M4 is used to provide DC leakage path from either node L3 or L4 to ground. This is necessary to accommodate the case in which the inputs change their value after the positive edge of the clock has occurred, resulting in either L3 or L4 being left in a high impedance state with a logical low voltage level stored on the node. Without the leakage path, that node would be susceptible to charging by leakage currents. The latch could then actually change state prior to the next rising edge of the clock, and this is now you can see in this diagram. That is, when in the high impedance state, when the input goes to 1 to 0, Then the starting device will short and the L3 is isolated. So charge accumulates until L1 by L3 change state, causing L2 to change state as well. So as a result, the flip-flops outputs change. And when input goes from 0 to 1 state, then the W by shorting device makes connection so that the leakage current attempts to charge L1 by L3, but the DC path here through the shorting transistor allows it to leak away to ground. Okay. Thank you.